Well, organic produce is well and truly established as an idea now, and many of us understand the fundamentals and have keenly embraced it. I wanted to find out more about the organic food industry, find out where it's heading and what's possible. And we've talked with growers and distributors and found out some interesting and sometimes even alarming facts and gaps in the industry. We've also talked to a few people who are aiming to fill in the missing links and re-establish the organics' place in our kitchens.
The farming industry has to change.
And more people are wanting to know, where their food's coming from.
We can go to bed at night knowing we're doing the right thing.
It's good for the earth, and in turn, that's good for everyone.
Now, the thing that most people know about organic food production is that no chemicals are used in the growing. No artificial fertilisers, no pesticides, etc. And while we might not want those chemicals in our bodies, we also don't want them in our soil.
The reality is, conventional farming now, the way that we've been farming for years is starting to obviously affect the soil. Conventional farmers aren't growing or getting the yields that they used to get.
For us, an organic system is not just about whether you can spray, whether you can't spray. It's about looking after the soil.
If you haven't got your soil health right, it's virtually a waste of time of growing a crop. Organically, it takes years of preparation to bring the soil nutrient levels up. Some conventional practices, the soil is literally just a medium to hold the plant. They're not concerned about soil structure or soil health. They just put the crop in, harvest it, rotary hoe it, bang another crop in several times a year, just non-stop. They amend the soil with chemical fertilisers, and they use chemicals to fight disease and pests, which build up because of how unhealthy the soil is. So it's like a perpetuating cycle. They treat the soil badly, the crops go badly. We fix that by putting more chemicals and more fertiliser to get the same result. Another thing about farming conventionally is that you compact your soil, and when you compact your soil, that retention of water is less. You lower the carbon levels in the soil, which also are a big part of water retention. Our organic soils here, we have, on average, 8% carbon, which is quite high, even for world standards. I don't think we would have those if we weren't organically farming.
But this isn't just about science.
It's more than just looking after the soil, it's the stewardship over the land over time. We want to make sure this soil is better after this crop is finished than it was before.
We've got a beautiful farm, birds, wildlife. We're here just to grow good quality, clean produce and hopefully be around for our children and our children's children.
Now, if we're really serious about making organic farming practices a strong part of a sustainable future for Australia, then we really have to approach this in a strategic and sensible way, not just idealistically. I mean, there is something kind of romantic about a farmer growing his local organic produce and taking it down to the local markets, but that's not necessarily going to make organic produce accessible and available to everyone in Australia. We also know that organic fruit doesn't always look perfect. And despite our best intentions, it's still easy to be swayed to the shiny, perfect-looking piece of fruit or vegetable instead of the less attractive but chemical-free and actually more nutritious organic option.
The difference between first grade and second grade produce, or you could say there's a second grade and there's even a third grade. I'll give you an example. Carrots, the premium grade will go into pack out and into greengrocers. Second grade carrot might be a juicer carrot, only because it's broken, split, doesn't look quite right. And then there's another grade that might have a scab or blemish on it that makes it not so consumer appealing. That would quite often get just thrown out, fed to cattle, sheep, what have you. So we've taken the second grade and that third grade, and now it's being used to produce a first grade product.
How did Australian Organic Food Co. start?
You can buy carrots, right? You can buy organic carrots, you can buy organic tomatoes, potatoes, but what I found was there was no one peeling, dicing, pureeing. I discovered that most of the baby food sold on Australian supermarket shelves was made from organic produce that was grown overseas, primarily in China.
Yep.
I looked at Australia thinking, geez, here we are, sitting in this clean, green environment. We're on the doorstep of Middle Asia, and they all want our product. But what are we doing? We're sending it overseas, and we're not using our own products for our own kids. And I thought, someone's got to do something about this.
If it's a beautiful looking orange, it tastes the same as one that looks terrible on the outside. Once you peel it, an orange is an orange. And so therefore, for the Australian Organic Food Company to take that byproduct away from us and turn that into an organic juice or an organic food line that can be used somewhere else for people to buy is fantastic.
It is still A1 produce, but grown on greater economies of scale where we can gain efficiencies alongside what our morals here are in growing certified organic produce sustainably long term.
But it should be easy, right? I mean, aren't we in a giant food bowl here?
You know, with organics, everything's got to be certified, from the farm through the process, all the way to the finished product. So there wasn't any infrastructure, and that was effectively why the industry wasn't growing in terms of branded or manufactured product. We've been trying to build that infrastructure from the ground up.
Is organic food a luxury?
It shouldn't be. As we build the infrastructure, it's getting better, for sure.
Yeah.
But understand, the labour that goes into organic farming versus conventional farming is the big difference. The goal for us is to make it more affordable for more people. It shouldn't just be for the rich. We're 100% Australian. Probably the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life.
Why?
Well, because we won't put anything but 100% Australian grown organic produce into the product. So that means we won't put any additive in there that's not grown organically in Australia. So it makes it bloody tough.
Producing food on a bigger scale does raise some interesting ethical questions though. This food needs packaging and it also needs transporting.
In terms of whether it's better for the environment or what the carbon footprint is of glass versus plastics, it's a very interesting question because the reality is that plastics has a much smaller carbon footprint. I'll give you an example. If I was to get say 50,000 glass jars delivered, that would be 100 pallets. It then comes into the factory that I then have to wash before I fill. That 100 pallets of empty product becomes 100 pallets of full product. But with pouches or plastic pouches, I could get 50,000 units on a pallet delivered. We fill them, we can put more on a pallet. So from a carbon footprint point of view, it costs less to produce, there's less emissions used to produce it, there's less miles in terms of delivering it. So overall, plastic is a better option in terms of footprint.
The challenges of growing our food organically without the advantages of conventional farming can be compounded by our changing climate. This is especially evident in Australia recently, where farmers have been hit by droughts, fire and floods.
One of our main sustainability issues is water and having access to water. And obviously everyone knows what sort of challenges southeastern Australia has regarding water, and that can have a significant impact on our business.
We have drought here as well, believe it or not, and the exact opposite, too wet, too cold. This season's a classic example. There was no heat in the summer. It's caused disease in our crops, yield losses. These are things that are just out of your hands. You can do everything right, but still be punished. Strawberries are a classic example. A lot of rain on the strawberries, it's damaged them for the retail market, but we've been able to package them all up, freeze them and store them, and then the Australian Organic Food Company's come along and taken all those and then processed them into a puree ready for their products down the track.
Well, it's not necessarily the easiest road for any of the links in the organic food chain, but with a bit of hard work and ingenuity, a big difference can be made here, and new paths can be found to feed our growing population.
I have no doubt that this country would be capable of producing all its food organically if required. Australia's got the largest certified organic landmass in the world. We've certainly got the intelligence to do it and the aptitude. It's just a matter of whether we want to do it.
Are you turning organic food into another corporate machine?
No, I hope not. I don't want to be thought of like that. To me, this is my pro bono moment. I look at it as though I'm trying to help an industry. I want to be able to look at my children in the eye in years to come and be proud that we didn't just take, we try to give back.
We believe in a more sustainable way of growing our produce. We wanted to make sure that Our farm was here long term.
My father decided I can make the trees happy and healthy by looking after the soil. As a family, we want to continue to build on what he's done and what he's put his life into.
I want to make it more affordable. I want to give more Australians the opportunity to eat more organic produce. And I want farmers who are conventional farmers to consider organic, because there's an industry out there that will support them. Australia's farming future is organics, in my opinion.
Well, seeing people like the Australian Organic Food Company putting their heart, their soul and their money into providing a genuine organic option here in Australia, working alongside scientists, local farmers who have been a part of this movement from the beginning, and some that have just started but are putting their faith in the future, is just so inspiring. But I think what we can do as consumers is help close the loop and play our part in delivering a more sustainable, healthy, delicious future for Australia.